Hello everyone, in this video I would like to discuss Wolfall, but to really nitpicking everything that is about, historical accuracy. And what I found really interesting is that obviously Thomas Cromwell discusses with Sadler about Thomas Cranmer, the Archbishop, and the fact that he's not putting himself forward to defend Cromwell. First of all, it is true that Cranmer didn't try to seek an audience to defend Cromwell. And you might understand why. Cranmer is realizing that Henry VIII is very dangerous. He has turned on the love of his life, apparently. All the love that he said about Anne Boleyn and how amazing she was. And then he still executed her. And then obviously with Cromwell, he really made sure that he was in high powers and then took him down after just making him Earl of Essex. So I think Cranmer, in many ways, was like, oh dear, that doesn't sound good. But in this video, we're going to discuss in Wolfall what Cranmer wrote to the king for Cromwell, what it is said in the show, and what he actually said in his letters, and see if they really use the same words or if they paraphrased and all of this. And then I would like to make a parallel with a letter that he wrote for Anne Boleyn, because actually Thomas Cranmer wrote to the king regarding Anne Boleyn's arrest, and I found his letter quite powerful because he's obviously very careful what he's saying. The same with Cromwell, but he's also one of the few men who actually tried to defend her, who did not believe that she was guilty. And guess what? She was innocent, so it's quite nice. So let's first watch the scene where Sadler explains what Cranmer has been saying to the king.
It's Cranmer's letter to the king.
The suspense of what he said.
He that was so advanced by your majesty, he who so loved your majesty as I ever thought no less than God, he that cared for no man's displeasure to serve your majesty, he that was such a servant in my judgment in wisdom, diligence, faithfulness, and experience as no prince in this realm ever had. I loved him as my friend, for so I took him to be. But now, here it comes, on one hand, on the other. But now, if he be a traitor, I am sorry that I ever loved or trusted him. But yet again, I am very sorrowful. Who will your majesty trust hereafter, if you cannot trust him?
So in the actual letter, there is this question of trust that is brought, and this is why it's so good. This show is so good because it does really look at the primary sources. So now I'm going to tell you the exact words that Cranmer said about Cromwell's downfall and Cromwell's arrest. He who loved your majesty, as I ever thought, no less than God. He who studied always to set forwards whatsoever was your majesty's will and pleasure. He that cared for no man's displeasure to serve your majesty. He that was such a servant in my judgment, in wisdom, diligence, faithfulness, and experience, as no prince in this realm ever had. He that was so vigilant to preserve your majesty from all treasons, that few could be so secretly conceived, but he detected the same in the beginning. I loved him as my friend, for so I took him to be. But I chiefly loved him for the love which I thought I saw him bear ever towards your grace, singularly above all others. But now, if he be a traitor, I am sorry that I ever loved him or trusted him, and I'm very glad that his treason is discovered in time. But yet again I am very sorrowful, for who shall your grace trust hereafter, if you might not trust him? And that's it in a nutshell, is what is done for Cromwell. The letter is very powerful because you can see that Cranmer, again, like he did before with Anne Boleyn, does not believe that Cromwell is a traitor to the crown, does not believe that Cromwell is a traitor to Henry VIII. Let's see if in the show what Cromwell said, and let's maybe speculate of what Cromwell must have thought or must have felt.
It was better than I expected.
It
He
is a
should have
good
got
letter.
himself to the king's presence. If the archbishop were in peril of his life, would you have stood by? I don't think you would have.
So here it's more like the grievance is from Sadler in the show that says like, oh my god, that's just a letter, right? Okay, well, that might be a good one, but you know, he should try to see the king and try to defend you. Now I think here it's absolutely unrealistic. We know how, you know, unstable Henry VIII was. If Cranmer had tried to play for Cromwell, Henry VIII would have probably thought, oh my god, there's a conspiracy here. Oh my god, you're on his side. Maybe you should be taken down too. There's no way that, you know, Cranmer would have done it. Now, what do I think actually Cromwell... I'm not sure that obviously Cromwell ever saw that letter. I love that, you know, they try to... Because it shows, again, how much power Cromwell had, how much network he has, how much spies he had. All of this is working really well in the show. I think that if Cromwell was aware of that letter, he would have been pleased with it. I think he would have known that, you know, there was nothing else that really Cranmer could have done. Like, he could not risk his own life to save his, because it would not have saved his life. He knew how it worked, that if you were speaking too loud for someone else's life, you would risk your own life. And Cranmer knew it as well. What I love with Cranmer is that in many ways, I think he's always on the right side of history. Because again, I don't believe that Cromwell... I think Cromwell was a ruthless, ambitious, cruel, opportunistic, being able to do anything he wanted to get the power he wanted. And I think he was not a very good, nice man. I think it's a way, in Wolfall, it's a way too positive portrayal of a man who truly loved power. And when you really look at everything that was set against him, you can't deny that the man was playing games. He was playing the games of power, all right? And, you know, he was ready for anything. He was a man of a great intelligence, so I think he was ready for absolutely anything. But he was far from being an angel. And I don't think he committed treason, in the sense that I don't think he really wanted the throne for himself. He's not like, you know, all the powerful noble families would have thought, I could be on the throne. I don't think he saw that, but he thought like, yes, I can keep influencing power, influencing the king, and if the king has to fall, I need to be in good favor with the next one. And it was Mary, and it's all, you know, kind of the grievances against him are kind of true. Also, the way he pushed for the Cleves marriage, it was a political move that he really believed in. The fact that he also pushed for the Church of England, Henry the Church of England was more and more Protestant. That is also all true. But is he a traitor, like someone who really conspired against Henry VIII, bring him down? No, I do not believe that. So in that way, I think that Cranmer is in the right side of history again, defending a man who I don't think ever really betrayed Henry VIII. What's now so interesting is the letter that Cranmer wrote to Henry for Anne Boleyn. He said, I am in such a perplexity that my mind is clean amazed, for I never had better opinion in women than I had in her, which makes me to think that she should not be culpable. And then he continues, and again, I think your Highness would not have gone so far except she actually been culpable. He's trying to save himself, but he's literally saying she was not guilty. And then obviously, you know, he has to, not to backtrack, but he has to be very careful what he's saying, how he's saying it, all of that. But it's such a powerful sentence here. He had a very high opinion of her. He never believed she was guilty. And that's where I wonder, like, if he realized how much Cromwell was ready to do everything and anything to get power. And that what maybe he also didn't fight for his life in the end, because he knew what kind of games and how far Cromwell could go to remove his enemies from his path. Cromwell saw Anne Boleyn as an enemy and got rid of her. Cromwell knew that, and he probably thought, well, it might be not worth losing my life for a man who's so power hungry. And I think that's also why, like he wrote that letter for Cromwell, defending him in many ways, recognizing his good sides, recognizing his devotion to Henry, while at the same time not putting himself too far in that kind of like defending him, just writing that letter. I think it's very, very powerful. And I think that Cranmer just played the game as well of power really well. The difference is that he always knew his place. And you can argue that Cromwell didn't. I really hope that you enjoyed that little snippet of history and diving into the historical accuracy of it all. Let me know in the comments what you thought. I want to hear from you guys. Thank you so much for watching. Bye!